Did you know that there was a planet hiding in this card? I had absolutely no idea it was there. I've pulled a Three of Wands so many times over the years, and I've seen it nodded along. I've thought about the traditional meaning of the card. You're keep on moving, you're going in the right direction, expansion, you're looking ahead, waiting for results. Cool, fine. That's worked for me. Nothing wrong with that. But I didn't know what was really inside this card. And when I started this Decan Walk and started to study and dig into the structure that's underneath the cards, there's just not regular meanings. This study has let me get underneath like the surface stuff. There's actual astrological bones underneath this. What I found has completely changed the way that I read this card. We're in Aries 2 right now. This is the second decan of Aries. It runs from the 31st of March through April 9th or 10th. And the ruling planet of this decan is not Mars. It's the sun. So hi, welcome if you're new here. And if you're returning, thanks for coming back. So this is the Decan Walk. It's a year-long project where I move through all 36 decans in real time. One 10-day window at a time. You do not need to catch up. You can start right here. The wheel is always turning. My sweet husband made this for me. So we are moving. Here's our ascendant line underneath here. You can see the whole wheel. So we're moving from the Two of Wands to the Three of Wands. This means that we are still in Aries, but it's the sun and it's the Three of Wands. Aries 2 is the middle decan, so it runs from 11 to 19 or 10 to 19, or I just go with 10 to 20 because that's easy math for me. It's all even. I'm not sure that that's completely correct. The older Hermetic title for this card. So here's where things get interesting. We still have the Emperor. This was the same card that we had last time. So we're still using him. And if you take a look at this wheel, you can see the Emperor sticks with us for all of Aries. Our card is the Three of Wands. So in the Hermetic Golden Dawn title, it's the Lord of Established Strength. And I'm going to show you that on the Hermetic cards here in a minute. In the Thoth system, Crowley changed it to Virtue. It's the same decan, it's just different wording, but the wording does matter. So the thing I want to sort of key in on today is the ruler. Aries is ruled by Mars. That's like the bigger background, that fire force. We've got our correspondences here with our fire colors and our ginger and cinnamon. We've got red sunstone, red jasper, raw carnelian, and raw garnet. And we've got some iron here. I recently picked up some tangerine quartz, which is a lovely color. So what I'm getting at is the sun. The sun is exalted in the Three of Wands. So that means that there's a little more oomph power. Now, Erin Lento, the Witch of Saturn, did some more explanation on that and dug in a little more. So go watch her Decan 2 video. It has been up. I think she actually put it up Friday. So she put it up early. And she goes over more of the astrology stuff, and she talks a little more about what exalted means in astrology. Since I am not an astrology diva like she is, I am sticking with this card is adding more oomph to this Three of Wands. It's giving it a extra energy. There's something about +4 and other things, and I truly didn't understand all of it, and that's okay. This is my first year learning this. So sticking with what it means to tarot seems like where I need to be. When I clicked in that the sun was the ruler and that it was exalted, like everything sort of clicked off in my head. So this is where we are. Let's talk about where we were. This is a quick recap of what I learned during my first decan. So those 10 days were really interesting. I had lots of notes. I listened to the Tarot podcast by T. Susan Chung. I also listened to the Emperor episode, the Mars episode, and the Two of Wands episode over on Fortune's Wheelhouse. Both of those podcasts are available for free for you to listen to. The Fortune's Wheelhouse podcast is really nitty gritty and nerdy and lovely, and I've really been enjoying it. I don't take it all in, like I feel like I need to listen to it 5 or 6 times, but I only have time for once, so I take in what I can, and next year I'll learn more. So I also kept track of my 10 days and what the decan looked like in my real life. Someone had told me in a comment that the 2 wands may be the ram's horns. I thought that was a really interesting thing that I learned. Someone else mentioned about the 72 shems. I need to read a lot more on that because I don't understand that. I watch a lot of animal husbandry stuff. My people were farmers, and so I'm just naturally into it. Plus animals, you know. Cows' hooves are two-sided, and the weight needs to be distributed evenly, and when it's not, they can get bruises and sores and infections. And I thought that was interesting to think about the Two of Wands and how, you know, he's got his hand on one and one standing firmly in the ground and the balance there. I did actually pull the Two of Wands one of the days. And a funny story, we had a date night. We went and saw some Irish dancing. It was super fun. We try to do one date night a month. And we then went out to eat. And the waitress was at the table next to us talking to, we live in a town with a lot of seniors. And it was a senior couple next to us. And one of the gentlemen was hard of hearing. And the waitress was talking about how she was a junior in high school and she was just starting out, and you know what a great place this was to work and how excited she was, and it was her first solo shift. And I sat there thinking about the emperor, and you know, the seniors are ending their life adventure, and here was this girl starting hers. It was such an interesting juxtaposition, and how when you start thinking about tarot in your everyday life and how you're seeing it and how those cards are reflected, you begin to see it everywhere. So it's really cool. And I wrote last night, I'm a little sad to be moving on to the Three of Wands. I really enjoyed the Two of Wands. I felt like I learned a lot about this, and it was a really good time. So this page was available in black and white on Maline's blog. And this is her Two of Wands from the Telos Tarot. Sorry, I had a little, my mouth didn't want to work there for a second. So I used some colored pencils and the card image and colored this in and thought about the Two of Wands and the crimson energy and the glyphs and things that were on here, and the rams and the crown. And this was just a really interesting exercise on not just, it was meditative. I was meditating on the Two of Wands while I worked on this. And that's not something I've tried before, and I really enjoyed the practice. So that's something I hope I can continue. I did my journal questions back here. They're attached to the back. I did, a wonderful viewer gave me this spread that they did. They posted it on their Instagram and wherever you tagged me in it. And I did this with the MJ Cullinan's Crow and Raven Tarot. And this was a wonderful, wonderful spread. I really enjoyed it. And then this is Fairlight Tarot spread from her membership, so I won't dilly-dally on that. So I really enjoyed the sightings and finding out what Aries 1 meant to me. And I hope you guys had an opportunity to, if do nothing else, just sort of think about how you saw the Two of Wands in your everyday. And I would love to hear some examples down in the comments. So let me know. I want to be really clear. This is a practice and it does not need to be dramatic. I am dramatic about it because I am dramatic about paper, books, and learning. That's my deal. That's my shtick. I'm not into makeup. I'm not into hair and fashion and things like that. I like, you know, iced coffee and paper products of all kinds, including tarot and oracle and anything esoteric as I am learning. So you don't have to try to force meaning into every little weird thing that happens. You're just sort of paying attention. And after a while, the cards sort of start to leave fingerprints everywhere. I mean, I was in a doctor's appointment last week and I said, yeah, I've been having a tower of a time with this particular wound. And she was like, you're having a what? And I was like, oh, sorry. Because I've just started relating everyday things to tarot cards. I guess that comes with the territory, right? I have set up the journal with some notes. I've used my ritual stamps again. I had already pre-made these, and so when I'm ready to move on, I just decorate for the next decan. Here's a spread that I did, and I wrote short meanings here. I've journaled about this longer in my everyday journal. And then I have the days written down that I am going to be tracking everyday sightings because that was a fantastic practice. Seriously, if you take nothing else away from this, just thinking about where you see tarot in your everyday life, it's incredibly invigorating and exciting. I have pictures of card setups that you were about to go over. So let's get into the good stuff. So the sun is our source. This is from the Astro Codes. Oh Lord, I always get this one wrong. From that Star Codes Astros Pocket Oracle. So the sun is our source and it is the ruler and it is exalted in where we are in our decan. We are still in Aries with the ram, battering, acting. We've still got that momentum. We are with the Two of Wands from the Rider-Waite-Smith. I have stacks of cards, just FYI. I'm going to try to keep track of everything. Then we go to what the Thoth and the Hermetic look like. So for the Thoth, we have just the 3 wands. We have the rays. We have our signs here. We have the sun and Aries, and you'll notice that it's labeled virtue. Then we've got the Hermetic tarot. Now, mass market, mass market, mass market, mass market, mass market. Everything I'm showing you is mass market right now. In fact, I think everything but one card that I'm going to show you today is all mass market. I really tried to stick with that so that this was accessible to everybody. So the Hermetic is Lord of Established Strength. Now, when I was listening to T. Susan Chang and Emma Meline talk on the Fortune's Wheelhouse, they were saying that Crowley, when he made the Thoth, he wanted to, they think he was trying to simplify and clarify things a little. So he began to shorten titles. But you see, the imagery is very much the same. We have the sun, the fire, the wands. We do see a full ram here. We do have our signs on the Hermetic. We have, they're on the top and the bottom. So 3 of Wands, Lord of Established Strength. The other card that I pull for us every time is from the Wild Way Oracle. And look at this bear. He's wearing a crown, which was important. And it says, take the lead. And it has Aries 2 on the bottom of it in gold. Can you see that? See how pretty that gold? Oh, it's so nice. So I'm going to read you just a little bit of the take the lead. It's your time to shine and take your rightful place on the throne, but remember that all positions of power come with great responsibility. I really, when I looked at my notes and I listened to the different podcasts, I watched Marlena Teresa's video and I watched Erin, the Witch of Saturn, Erin Lento, the Witch of Saturn's video. I heard a lot about responsibility, exaltation. I also, though, as a creative person, want to say this can also be creative energy. I often, when I am trying to do a pull on something creative, whether it's a collage I'm working on or I've been making my own tarot deck just for me, and as an experiment and to get to learn the cards better, I figured there's no better way than to make my own, right? So I have learned that when wands show up, they are most often talking about my creativity, my passion, my fire. And that's this card, when I see it, typically for me means moving through my passion, my fire, and getting on the other side of it, having responsibility, having, seeing the ships. You can just barely see them in this card, the ships that are here. When I was reading in, I think it was in this book, The Pictorial Key to the Tarot, Waite talks about these being this guy's ships. So he's watching his ships go off into the distance, and he has this expectation and hope that they will come back with his fortune. I also think that the Picatrix talks about, and it's seen, it's not really seen in the Thoth card, the typical Thoth card. It is seen in a little bit in the RWS. In the Picatrix, the image is a woman, and she is dressed in green, and she only has one leg. Now, there's a little ambiguity there. Some people say it's just one leg. Some people say that one leg is showing. So we're not quite sure what that meant. Some people think that this figure is quite ambiguous and could be female. I personally don't feel that way. Pixie was pretty good about showing male and female. Plus, in some of my reading, they talked about the 2, 3, and 4 being the young emperor. And if you remember, on the 2 of Wands, we have the young emperor holding a globe. He's holding the world in his hands. And if you go back and look at the emperor card, which I should have one over here. If you look at the emperor card, here we go. Piles O cards. You look at the emperor card, he's also holding a globe. So that's why some people feel like they're connected. So here is our setup with those cards. So take the lead. T. Susan Chang talks about it being a movement from, and I want to get this right, so I'm going to pull the book out here. She talks about it being in the 2 of Wands, he must conquer. In the 3 of Wands, he must govern. And in the 4 of Wands, he must celebrate or consecrate his leadership if he wants it to last. I found that, I liked the movement of that. She also talks a little bit about the movement of Mars and Sun inside the Decan wheel itself. I didn't totally understand all of that, and I'm recording this on March the 31st, which is the first day of the Decan. So I have several more days to try to learn some of this and take it in. When I said I saw the sun in this card, I mean it. I mean, it's very yellow. In fact, there was talk in one of the podcasts about whether this looked very desert and not very water, because it is red and yellow. But we think these are ships, and they're mentioned as ships in historic writings. So that's always been the assumption. This is so yellow in all of the cards. And it's a little more tan yellow looking in the Divine Decan. Notice we have our dates here, Virtue, Sun and Aries. It's still cardinal. It's Decan 2. So you have all of your information here on the Divine Decan. The Sun card in the RWS looks very bright and sunny. Things that I learned: sunflowers turn and face the sun, and then when they become heavy with seed and begin to dry out, they droop and no longer face it because they're planting their seeds into the ground. This red banner shows up in the Fool and in the Death card, and I think it's on the Knight of Swords as a feather on his helmet as well. So you see references going throughout. Of course, you see the red, the crimson is here. We have the green from the Picatrix. I'm not sure what the blue is, but I know Emma Meline mentioned something about it in her podcast. She knows a lot of the color stuff. It's really excellent information. So, young emperor. He's still wearing his red robe. He's wearing armor here. He's not wearing armor here. He's made his fortune, obviously, here. But we still have the ram energy that's coming from Aries in this card. I don't see it as much in the Thoth, although these flames are horn-like. I definitely see the sun and the ram in this Hermetic tarot card a little more. This I don't get as much from. I have not studied Thoth, so there might be things here that I'm missing. I know that we have rays. I don't know how many of them we have because numbers was very important, and everybody's always counting everything on this card, on all these Thoth cards. So another thing that I learned about the Three of Wands is we have already conquered, so now we're in that momentum phase. We're moving through. We've captured the territory, we've got their resources, and we're shipping them home. That's how I see it. I guess I feel a little Roman about it. You've conquered, you've taken what you've wanted, and now you're going to send it home and get the goodie out of it. Established strength, I think, hits so much harder for me now than when I first read it and heard it on the podcast, because I don't think that you can establish strength until you have conquered and you're in the portion where you're ruling. I also, T. Susan Chang talks about sometimes this card comes up for her when she doing a reading for someone. Maybe they're voting, or maybe they're on a jury, something like that. This whole thing feels so very, very solar. I mean, we're in the forest here and we have the bright yellow sky up above. Even in the black and white deck, you get that there are rays exploding out from the sun, and you have the heat of the fire leaping from side to side and in the middle. So everything is touched by the sun, and everything's being fed and generated and sprouting and growing from what the sun is doing here. Aries 1 felt super like the ignition. I think Erin Lento, what does she say? The Witch of Saturn. I marked it in my journal. She said it's like the lighting of the match and the ignition, the combustion in an engine. Boom. And then this feels, Aries 2 feels like it's sort of the confidence after you've had that initial. Now you're pressing the gas and going. That's how I saw this. So, I mean, if I think about it, I think about, well, what am I, what have I already launched? A very obvious answer for me would be I've launched the Decan Walk videos here. I've launched the Decan Walk in my own life. Where am I being asked to trust my own momentum? Just in keeping making these videos, whether they get a lot of views, comments, I want to know that these are helping people. And at the very least, they are helping me stay accountable to doing the practice, digging in, doing the research. And where am I more established than I've admitted to myself yet? I'm getting better at making the videos, I think. Now listen, the laptop is still on its side. I have not figured this out. I did try last night and again today to find I have wires everywhere. I think I'm going to have to buy like one of those little selfie monitors or something and like set it against a book here or on a tripod so I can see it. Because this is an expensive laptop and I'm setting it on its side. It feels a little ridiculous. So I have decks for us to flip through. I've picked 3 mass market decks for us to take a look at each one and see how we see the energy differently. But I'm not just pulling all these decks out to be like cute. Each one has a job and it gives me sort of a baseline image. Some of them make the astrology talk a little bit louder. Some of them show me how the artists interpret the Decan energy a little bit different. Some seem aware of the Decans and maybe others are not. And you may be able to tell that when we look at decks, although not, I think, in today's decks. Some are super accessible and really easy to get into because and that matters to me because I want you guys to be able to follow along and I want things that are accessible to you and that feel like they're entry level so that we hit everybody at every different skill level. So this isn't just a deck parade, although I love to show you pretty decks. This is us getting into what we can see in our everyday cards that are sitting in our collection. So let me pull a few out. So let's start with the 3 of Wands cards. This is from the Bone, Stone, and Flesh, and I'm not going to zoom us in all the way because this is going to end up being a lot of cards. So just hang with me. So any excuse I have to pull out the Bone, Stone, and Flesh, it's going to happen. What I see in my head, when I look at a 3 of Wands, it's always going to be the RWS image of the 3 of Wands. I may see the Thoth now that I'm looking at it through the Decans, but probably not. I'm going to see the RWS. Does this job give me the same energy even though it's a different pattern? Yes. We have the sunny sky. We have sort of the dirt, yellowy colors in the ground as well. We have the blue, the red, and the green that we had. We have her we have fire. Obviously, it's a hot air balloon. We see 1, 2, 3 parts of the basket, although we assume there are 4. There are also 3 balloons. So we have the 3 there for sure. We also have her at a vantage point looking out over. And is this her kingdom? It is a female in this card, which harkens back to the Picatrix. I don't remember if the Agrippa had a female or not. I'm not sure when it went male, but of course people think Sun, Mars, Aries, Emperor, male energy. So that's probably where that comes from. Another deck that I picked for this time was that this might hurt mass market edition. So we have the 3 writing utensils here. We have her sitting up on her desk looking out over this water. We have the orangey reds that are in our original RWS card. And she is looking out from her vantage point and staring at her ships. Again, a female. We have the red, we have the green. So that's all there. Then for something completely different, the Crow Tarot. I have the mini because it's easier for me to shuffle. Plus, I like to carry decks around a lot, so this is something that stays. Now, obviously, we have some different colors in here. We have a lot of black and a lot of blue. We do have some red color. We do have the sun, but our sky is not this yellow. We do have the Three of Wands, but we have a bird standing up on a vantage point looking out over the sea or this lake or whatever this is. So we have the same energy that's shown in all of these cards. Now, is it depicted exactly the same as it is in this card? No. Oh, sorry. That's our Emperor. Although interesting, same colors. It's not exactly the same, right? But you get the same feeling from this card, from these cards. You see that you're taking a look at what you've taken over, that you need to look at it and watch it and govern it, take responsibility for it. It's now yours. You conquered it. You took it. Now you need to take responsibility for it. Let's take a look at the other cards in this section. So the energy that stayed was the Emperor. Stack them like this. Crow Tarot Mini. Oops, let me move down a little bit. And Bone, Stone, and Flesh, and This Might Hurt. So we've got, let me do this. This works out better. Throne, Throne, Thrones, Rams in both of these. What do we have in this one? We have a Wraith. We have somebody battling. We have the ram's horns on the helmet. We have a female here, animal. I did want to bring in some animal energy because animal decks can give you what you need out of these cards. I know some people have trouble connecting to the animal decks, so I just wanted to show that this was available to you in here. Let's add in the sun. So, sun, let's see if I could get this one over here. Sun, well, let's just put them all where I can get them, I guess. And sun. So we have big suns in every one of these cards. Here we're doing the Maypole Sun Dance. Here we have the horse. We have the crow. It does have the red banner. We have a huge sun. Do we have the wall in this? I can't tell if we have the wall. It looks like we have a wall of trees there. And then in the This Might Hurt, we have our baby with a puppy and a stick and a doggy and sunflowers and our wall and our sun. So these all give the same energy. Life-giving, sustaining, hot, sometimes dangerous if you're out in it for too long. But I feel like you get the right feelings from all of these cards. Now, to reiterate, the Crow Tarot Mini mass market. So this is in a tin. This Might Hurt mass market, available everywhere. Bone, Stone, and Flesh mass market. So all of these decks should be available to you. You know, no matter how organized I try to be for these, I always end up with stacks of crap everywhere at like weird angles, looking like Jenga ready to fall at any moment. I want to show a couple of things that I have added that I am using. You do not need to buy any of these items. You just need a tarot deck and a pen and something to write in. Or maybe just a tarot deck in your mind if you have, Your mind isn't as holy as mine. I have to write things down or I forget them. They slip right out. I am still using my great workbook. You can see it's getting tabby. I filled in my things already. I did that, I think, last night. Aries has stayed. I did mark off that Aries is in my 6th house, which is work, health, and pets. So that was an interesting connection there. The Emperor was filled out from before, but I did add a few notes to it. I filled in some of the Sun information. I did go back in and add more to my 2 of Wands. And I did fill out my 3 of Wands, and I did fill in the Kabbalah information this time. And this was because I listened to the Fortune's Wheelhouse podcast, and I was Googling Kabbalah, Trees of Life, Four Worlds, all of that while I was working on it. So very quickly, and this is absolutely base knowledge because I don't understand this stuff. The 3 of Wands is connected with Bina on the Tree of Life, which here's a very small diagram of the Tree of Life, and that would be this one here. That, I think it's called a Sephira, is translated as understanding, and it is in, you can see how I have this written down because I don't understand all of what it means, but this is in the Absolute world, and its text means sanctifying intelligence, and its color is crimson. And if we go back to our 3 of Wands, whoop, where's my 3? Here's my 3. We have red in every single one of these cards. Red, 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 red. It's everywhere. So, you know, sometimes we think, I haven't always understand it. Listen to me. I obviously need a sip of coffee. Pardon me. I didn't always understand all of this stuff in the cards. This study has let me really dig in, guys. Some of this information is going to leak out. I can see why people continue to do Decan walks and sort of go over the information again and again using different decks, using different books, because it's dense and you don't need to learn all of this your first year. I'm just a freaking overachiever. That's all that is. I'm still using my 36 secrets. I really enjoyed at the end of Aries 1 rereading the poem. It meant a little more to me after I had done the everyday life exercises where every day I was looking for the card. So I'm really enjoying the poetry, and I'm not normally someone who really gets into poetry. I'm much more of a fiction, nonfiction girl, but this was good. This was really good. I enjoyed this. There is a lot of information in here about the different cards. Sun in Aries, Sun in Gemini, Sun in Virgo, Sun in Scorpio, Sun in Capricorn. So there's this really neat section here. And I think this was on her free blog posts as well, if you want to go take a look at that. So 2 things that I bought. I kept referencing this book. It is available on the Kindle Unlimited. It is just fine on there, but I kept referencing it over and over and over again. So I was constantly opening it up and trying to move between the hyperlinks, and it was annoying me. So I did buy the book itself. I really enjoy the write-ups. This was written specifically about tarot and astrology, so this makes a lot of sense. I had seen on someone else's channel that they actually used this book their first year for the Decan Walk, and I can see why. It explains things so well, and it doesn't overwhelm me, and it's in approachable language, so that's important. This is hot off the presses. So this is M.M. Moline's The Decan Walk Workbook, Tools for a Solar Rite. This was $25. Right now, you have to email her if you would like to buy it. And she's using a print-on-demand service. She hopes to put it up on her website, but they haven't worked all the kinks out yet. So, and we're all just getting it now during Aries 2. This has a lot of the information that is in Scions of 777. And this is a thick tome, and I adore it. I have mentioned it in other videos. I do have to read this one in pieces because it is dense. This has all the charts in it. It also has some suggested activities for things that you can do on your Decan Walk. Maybe you just pick one and that's what you do. She has tools in here. She also has the solar ingress dates through and times through Aries 1 of 2026 through Pisces 3 of 2029. So I wanted to point that out. And I think T. Susan Chang might have put up the 26-27 information on one of her videos. I think Erin Lento pointed that out in her video. We go through the days of the week things. Obviously, the sun is on Sunday, in case I didn't mention that. She does briefly go over exaltations here, and I marked it because this is very succinct without confusing my mind. So when you get into, there is chapters on the planets. So you get information here on that. I do not understand the seals. That is not something that I'm necessarily getting into this year, but I'm briefly reading it so that I have sort of a paraphrased edition in my head. So I didn't have this for Aries 1, but here's the information that you're going to get. Right before you start, it talks about all of the different references that are in these tables and where they come from. So that's fascinating because I didn't understand all of that. So these are the Decan images and their uses. So you have a lot of information here. Then you go through the Decan names and their deities. And these are different dependent on where they come from. You get, for Aries 1, you got a short write-up here. You get all this information, which, let me tell you, I don't know how much research this took for them to pull all this together. She gives you themes, altar offerings, and the talismanic use of the image. She had this particular image available on her website blog, and that's where I got it for my walk. But now I'll have a copy of it in this workbook. What I like about this workbook is that it can lay flat and be worked from. That's really cool to me. So you have this information, you have this talisman image. You can use it as a meditation, you can color it, you can paint it, you can do, she gives you a lot of uses for how to use this in your Decan Walk. You have the seal and templates here, and then you have a space for notes. So all of this stuff, I mean, I'll just show you. She's got stuff about the Decan Walk, the ingress dates and times, planetary magical tools. You have the planets. You have the information about the Decan tables, and it goes on for a few pages. Like, she's specific about what that stuff is. And then you get into the actual decans, and she goes through everything. And then there's a closeout section. It is a simplified maybe it doesn't seem simplified, but this is simplified from what is in Scions of 777. And this is much more affordable and workable for someone who isn't as far along in their journey. Now, I will remind you that M.M. Maline's stuff is Thoth-based. So this is actually the Three of Wands from her Telos 777 deck. You'll notice it's a woman with a leg showing. I love that. So I was so excited. I got this yesterday and I ripped the package open and was just all over it. The other thing that I bought, and I think I showed it briefly in my video. When did I show it? In my video on Sunday? This is Jamie Sawyer's 1909 RWS Tarot, the Redux Edition. This is second edition. And I've been using this just for pulls. I really enjoy this. Now, on Sunday's video, I made a big honking mistake, and it was so funny. I had just been talking about how nervous I was about doing this, and I was showing these cards, and I got one of the symbols wrong, and one of the viewers pointed it out. And she gave me a lovely explanation for the card. Let me see if I can find it. I probably won't because I'm looking for it, and it'll be somewhere on the bottom of the deck somewhere, right? Okay, I found the card. It was the Hermit card. Okay, funnily enough, I just heard Taylor Swift in my house, like singing, and I was like, it's going to get me a copyright strike. What the heck is that? And the dog had rolled over on the TV remote and pressed Amazon Music. Made me giggle. Okay, so just a little real life in there. This is the Hermit card, and I said that this symbol was Scorpio, but it is not. It is Virgo. And this wonderful viewer pointed it out to me, which I'm so glad for. And then she said, the symbols do look alike, but Virgo has her legs crossed. I have laughed about that for days, and I don't think I'll ever forget it, and it'll be a permanent way that I remember this now. So that's cool. So this deck is independent, and it has the symbols in it. So this is Mars, and I'm going to go with Leo. Y'all will tell me if I'm wrong. Let me pull out my little cheat sheet over here in my journal, because obviously I can't be trusted. Yes, it is Leo. And Leo is ruled by the sun. So nice. So the mandalas have the information in it. So here's Moon in Cancer. Venus and Aries. This will be our next card. So I've been working with this one, and I've been having a lot of fun looking for the symbols and there are no titles on this. So you do have to know your RWS images fairly well to use this one, but I adore it. And the information's in the card. Let's see. Let's not do aces or knights or a major. Can I just have a regular minor? Thank you. If you see in the mandala there, if I can get it to focus, you see Mars and you see Leo and you see the number 7, and obviously those are wands. So the information's there. It's just not glaring and in your face. And I really like that this is edge to edge art, and then I can see all of it. So this is Jamie Sawyer's 1909 RWS Tarot, the Sawyer Redux Edition. And it is delightful and entertaining. The cardstock, y'all, I can actually shuffle this thing. It's so beautiful. She makes such gorgeous products. Just everything she makes is top tier. I love it. And the other thing that I bought, I saw on someone else's channel, and I got it in a little mini. This is mass market. And I actually have questions about this. So I'm hoping some of you out there might have the answer. I can think of one or two of you who might know it. So I have been using this. It's a little mini. It was like $13. It was not expensive. Okay, I brought you in a little bit more than Hopefully that's focused and you can see. So I have shuffled this. So here's my question. So what I've been doing is I pull a couple of these cards before bed, not as a tarot pull, but to practice the symbol memorization. That's what I'm particularly using it for. Because I obviously, after I realized that Virgo is a lady with her legs crossed, and I was super embarrassed that I'd gotten that wrong, I decided, oh, I might need a heck of a lot more practice. I also have some, ooh, let me grab them. Okay, let me finish one thought at a time. These are the backs on that zodiac tarot. So when I get to the quartz, which I am not studying in this Decan Walk because Marlena Teresi said they were a little dicey. And I said, first time around, I need nothing to do with dicey. Nothing. I don't need to be confused any more than I already am. So the instruction booklet, which is pretty small, but I can still read it. The court cards refer to the combination of two elements, one related to the figure, the page, knight, queen, king, and the other related to the suit, depending on the associations previously mentioned. He said, I associated the air element with pages for the initiative nature and the fresh and new energy they carry, and fire for the knights, water for the queens, and earth with the kings. I don't think that's right. And I have questions about why someone would change that. Because I don't, if you're buying a deck, I mean, people, the change between strength and what is it, justice, I get that change. That has esoteric strings hanging off of it. But I don't understand changing the elements that they're associated with. And I don't know where to check that. It's not on the Divine Decan Tarot. Okay, so I'm in the Tarot I'm so zoomed in. I apologize. So I'm in this Tarot Deciphered book, which has all the nitty-gritty in it. And it says it's the Page of Cups or the Princess of Cups, depending on if it's RWS or Thoth, that it should be Earth of Water. So obviously the cups is staying the same and it's water, but he says he made the pages air. Is there an esoteric reason for that? So I've just been ignoring the court cards. And I may have to go in and, take a Sharpie and do some mods. It's a cheap deck, so I don't feel like I'm ruining anything. So, apologies, kitty walkie by, if you see kitty fur go everywhere. So, yeah, I don't understand. I mean, because these are correct. Here we are on the Three of Wands. We have the red color again, although this one's at night. It's a zodiac tarot, so a lot of this is all, night-based. We have the sun and Aries. Yeah, I don't get why these are different, and I find that really confusing as someone who's just learning. So if you have picked this deck up either in the mini or the full size, just be aware that that might be different. And if anyone can explain to me why and which one, I personally want to go with what T. Susan Chang and M.M. Moline have said, because those are the main people I'm using as my study guides. But I want to understand better. So anybody out there, let me know. So the other thing I wanted to show you was I've also been using these. So I got these a gazillion years ago in a Goddess Provisions box. These are these dice things. I forget which bag has the ones I'm using. Okay, it's not this one. Those must be the moon dice. Yeah, so I've been using like that one to, roll it and pick the symbol. So that's Mars. And just practice with myself. I don't know what that one is. That's the Sun, Neptune, Moon, Chiron, Mercury, Venus. I'm getting better. I'm getting better with them, but I'm definitely not all the way there. So I am finding study aids where I can and trying to practice the information. These dice are everywhere. You can Google for them. They are just resin dice. I think they're calling them astrological dice now. So those are available literally everywhere. So I want us to close out with our journal prompts. These are not homework. They are just ways for you to access some of the information. There are 3 of them. Here's the first one. Where in your life right now are you watching your ships sail out? A different way to phrase that might be, what have you already set in motion that now requires trust more than effort? So you got to remember that Aries 2 is the moment right after the beginning. It's not the beginning. So we want to make sure that we are realizing that we're in that middle part. He's watching his ships sail out. He's watching them. He's loaded them with all his stuff. So what have you loaded up and you're watching those ships sail out? You don't have any control about what happens while they're at sea, and you have to trust in what's going to happen more than in your hard work and effort. The next one, number 2, since the sun is exalted here, it's like bright and direct and at full power. Where does your own light want to shine right now, and what is getting in the way of letting it? I don't want you to think that this question is about where should it shine. That is not the question. The question is where it wants to. Those are 2 very different questions. So I want to know, where does it want to shine? And for question 3, the Hermetic title of this card is Lord of Established Strength. What strength have you actually built recently that you have not really been giving yourself credit for? What muscles have you been practicing? As an example, I've been practicing my YouTube filming skills, being able to zoom in and out and show you cards better without making you crazy sick with motion sickness. Every time I make a video, I'm trying to learn how to do something a little bit better. So that's something that I have built. That's not a future strength. That's a muscle I've been practicing. Really, I guess if you think about it, what's already real? I guess that's a hard question for me, because in some ways, because I always notice what's unfinished. As soon as I finish a task, I've moved on. I have to actually tell myself to stop and celebrate. It's actually a note in my planner, like, what victories did I have this week? Because I just am always seeing the unfinished tasks. So this might be an interesting opportunity for you to take a look at what's done. So that's Aries 2. That's the Sun's card, the 3 of Wands. This is definitely the Sun's card. So I'm going to take the next 10-day stretch and watch for how this is moving in my world. I love the Sun's energy. So, and the sun is coming out here. We were freezing, below freezing night before last, but I think today it's going to be 80. So, I have to tell you, anybody who gets headaches, this bouncing around on the thermometer is enough to make you mad. I would really love to hear what you guys are noticing in your world. Are you still practicing? Do you have questions? Is there something that I can show you that might help you figure some of this out? Is there anything I can do to help you? Is there something I'm not explaining well in the videos that you need more information on? And for all astrology stuff, seriously, go hit up Erin Lento, the Witch of Saturn. She's really into this year, and she's a lot of great information on her channel. Give her videos some views, some thumbs up, some comments. I want more tarot readers to be able to see it because she is a tarot reader. So she brings a lot more astrology knowledge to it, and I think that's so cool and awesome. If any of the prompts land for you, tell me in the comments. I know some years back, Marlena Teresa had a community that was kind of going for her Decan Walk. I haven't used the community tab yet on YouTube. I was gonna, today is Tuesday. I'm gonna post this on Wednesday. I'm gonna take a look around in it this afternoon and see what its functionality is. But if you guys want some kind of small community where we can talk back and forth, maybe that's something we can set up. Because I would love to have some more time to talk to you guys. That's it. I am going to go. Well, I put the remote up. I'm going to finish my iced coffee, blow out my candles, and go rest for a little bit. And I hope that you guys have a great Aries 2. I will see you in Aries 3. And in the meantime, let me know what's happening down below. If you enjoyed this video, you might enjoy the one that I am going to link up here. And I will see you in the next one. Bye!